already the third show. We've got a big announcement coming up. We've got a guest today, and we'll be talking with him for most of the show. I just take a few minutes here at the beginning to just update people and give thanks to those. Especially, first off, I want to start with those that are new. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks for listening to the show, whether it be live or archive. We record this show every Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so to get a couple more announcements, just at the beginning of the show, we have a newsletter that went out actually on Monday, and that's how a lot of you probably heard about this show. But we had a newsletter. We have it once a month. You can go to our website at directive21.com or goberkey.com, GOBERKEY.com, and go to the home page, and there you'll be able to get our newsletter and our specials and whatnot, and hear about what we're doing new. We have a lot of new things coming up in relation to Berkey's and just preparedness products and whatnot. So I wanted to also let people know that they can connect with me on Facebook. I think there's just millions and millions of people on Facebook, and it's great to connect with you. You can just go to www.facebook.com/TheBerkeyGuy, Facebook.com/TheBerkeyGuy to reach me. And let's see, that would be, a lot of people are now friends with, are our friends, and it's just great to be there. Great to see if people can hear about the show, what we're going to do, what guests we're going to have, because we are going to have guests not only today, but I'm going to try to have at least a guest a month on the show to talk about topics related to water. This is not going to be a Berkey water show where we just talk about Berkeys all day. That was the first two shows. The first show was the introduction show, and the second show was a little bit more detail on all the Berkey products. And if you have any questions, feel free to go to our website and learn more. My guest, I want to give a little bit of introduction on my guest. I've known him for the last 5 or 10 years. His name is David. His website is FamilySafeWater.com. He has probably been preparedness-minded for a very, very long time, but I would say in water and stuff like that, I would call it, in his specialization or in his expertise would be in water storage, water prep. He's been doing that for at least the last couple of years, and we've conversed over the last couple of years about that, and just and then finally when the show came on, it was like only natural to have somebody on that's going to talk about water storage, water preps, how much water to store. We're going to talk about it all today, at least in general. Today might be an introduction, and what I'll do is I'll have David on again to discuss more in detail, but at least today we'll have a little bit of introduction. So I know David's on the line, so I want to welcome David to the show. Hey, welcome, David.
Hey, Jeff, it's good to be with you. Thanks for having me today.
Sweet. Hey, I want to cut to the chase because people, after 2 weeks, have gotten tired of hearing my voice, so I want to give, I want you to also give a little bit of introduction about yourself. I kind of prepped a little bit about what you want to do, what you do, and what you help people with. But maybe give a little bit of introduction about yourself, and then I'll just go from there.
Sounds good, Jeff. Well, thanks a lot, and thanks again, and thanks to y'all listening, live or archive. My name is David, and I sort of go by the title online as David Safewater. I'm fairly new to the online community as far as promoting myself to social media, but to be brief, I currently work full-time in emergency medical services here in Los Angeles County, and I do cover part of Orange County in my job. And so part of that is because I've always been into, emergency preparedness, like Jeff was saying, primarily the healthcare point of view, clinical part is who I am, and you have to excuse me. I'm driving right now, and I do have my hands-free headset on. But really, what I do is set people up and businesses, individuals up, and families with water storage solutions for emergency or just for those unexpected things that happen in life. And it's been a pleasure doing that. I've been very fortunate the last few months to actually go live with the business. But I have been actively involved in prepping emergency stuff. You know, Jeff has been saying for a couple of years, but it's been in my mind and in some of what I do in my life for the last, I don't know, I'm a scout, so I guess ever since I became a Boy Scout, it's been part of me. But I'm married, I have 2 small kids, and we're hoping for one on the way here. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Jeff.
Okay, cool. No, you know what I mean, I'm glad that I know you're having another kid, and so we'll have the same number of kids, 3, so that's going to be fun. Your life will be turned upside down. But, you know, getting back to water, and you know, it's good you said you were a scout, and, you know, in the program, and just being able to help young men. But I want to focus on water today and water storage. And, you know, what you've learned, you know, go ahead and if you can, extend the conversation on this simple question that I have is where should people start? What should they be thinking? You know, they might have food storage already. They might have guns and ammo and first aid kits, but maybe they don't have the water preparations that they need. Besides the Berkey water filter, you could talk about that, but I mean, besides that, where would we go? What would a person start with? Where do you think their mindset should be?
Well, that's a really good question. That's something I asked myself when I first got started in water storage. And I think we have to to talk about water storage, we sort of have to talk about the mindset behind it. What gets a person started or involved or, you know, interested in preparing anything? And the question goes a lot deeper than water storage. And, of course, we're not going to go into that because we can have a whole conversation about it and get, you know, into the philosophy of consumer attitudes and the way we live our lives and spend our money and, you know, programming and stuff. But I think the fundamental question that you're asking is where do we get started? Well, first of all, I think it starts with a need. People need to see that there's a need for water. And if you look at, you know, your daily routine or even look to the news as far as when there's a drought, especially here in Southern California, I mean, these authorities and everything just on there, oh, don't waste water and stuff. You know, there's a water shortage. You know, I'm reminded of, I think James Thomas Stevens had it in his book, or at least referenced it, of the sailor who's stranded at sea and has no water to drink, but he has water all around him. Is, you know, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. And, you know, when people realize that, hey, I have food storage, I have guns and ammo maybe, or, you know, I have life insurance, or I have a mortgage, you know, home insurance, I have car insurance, you know, all these kinds of insurances that we have, you know, out of all these things, you know, even food is so essential. But, you know, we can go a few days without food, but you can't go very long without water. And so as soon as individuals, and when I started seeing the need for, hey, I have all this food here, I have some money, some cash on the side, I have some things I can barter, but I did not have any water besides what was in the top part of the tank of my toilet and in the water heater, and maybe a few, you know, jugs from Costco or what have you from the store. We had some bottled water in those plastic containers. So I think fundamentally it begins with seeing that there's a need for it, and then secondly, saying that, hey, what do I have to start with? Because there's really virtually no way that anybody who has a home or an apartment has no water at their disposal in case something were to happen. We all have some degree of water, but what we're looking at is, you know, evaluating, do I have a gallon of water per person per day for how many days? That's the starting point. That is the base number that, from a survival point of view, bare minimum, I have half a gallon of water to drink per day for me, and I have the other half a gallon is for minimal face washing, brushing your teeth, minimal food preparation, because remember, a lot of the food storage that people have, including myself, part of my food storage is food that needs to be reconstituted with water, dehydrated food, food that, you know, it's canned, perhaps some of it's canned, and I'm going to add some water to dilute it out. So, you know, water storage is extreme. It's the beginning point. It really is the genesis of preparation, or it should be. And so that's part of what I get to do, and I love water, always have loved water, being a Southern California boy. I mean, going to the beach is fantastic, and going to the lakes and stuff not too far from here. But having drinking water at your disposal is the beginning point, and realizing that, hey, I do have some water, so it's not like people are starting from ground zero. It's just a matter of organizing, like budgeting, saying, okay, well, let me set this goal of what I can achieve realistically within my budget, and let me learn a little bit more about what I can do. What are some of the options out there for someone like me to prepare myself a little bit, or have some more water, and do things a little bit more responsibly? I think that's really where I look at as the beginning point.
No, and also I wanted to do. You told me about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, when I was talking to you on the phone. I want to get into the more preparation, the basics of what to have, like you were saying, but really contrast what you just said about how much water you'll need in one day to actually how much water we, on average, use when it's plentifully available. I remember you telling me some numbers about how much they use a year or a month or a day compared to how much you'll actually have to use in an emergency situation, in an emergency situation. I just, I wanted to kind of give that contrast compared to what you use on a daily basis compared to what you're going to need in an emergency. Because we just take it for granted so much is what, this point, is about.
Yeah, exactly. You bring up an excellent point. I'm happy you brought that up. A few weeks ago when we were talking about that, those were the most recent numbers that I had. And again, just to let listeners know, if there's ever any information or statistics or anything that I'm going to cite, either on my website or materials or by spoken word, I do want to let you know I'm not just going to throw numbers arbitrarily out there. I will back it up with statistics. And again, statistics are only as good, in my opinion. I don't want to start any political controversy here, but statistics are only as good as the agencies that are funding the research that goes behind it. So, having said that, is sort of a little waiver. Interesting numbers. So let's start off here. A few months ago, I contacted my city here, and I live in the city within the confines of Los Angeles County. And I have a water provider that covers, I think, 25 cities around the area. And I wanted to understand my water bill. So I called up the city and I said, hey, can you put me in contact with the Department of Water that supplies my drinking water in our main water line here? So I got in contact with them and I found out, I have a huge front lawn, I think we live on a quarter of an acre, around maybe a fifth to a quarter of an acre, our property on a corner house. And we have about twice or three times the size of a typical lawn. So without, the short story is, I find out that I get billed every other month. So every second month I'm getting billed. And the way that I'm charged my water is by cubic feet of water, right? So we understand a cube and the whole geometry of how that works out, or linear gallons. I found out, and I don't water my lawn very much because of the whole drought thing and because I wanted to conserve a little bit of water. I'm not really too concerned about the aesthetics of my home, on the outside at least, and the grass is there. But I found out through my numbers and what I pay on my bill, casually, and my family takes about 10 to 15-minute showers, and there's 2 adults and 2 children, and they bathe, so it's not like we have running water, but we have they're in the bath. We casually use every month about 11 to 12,000 gallons of water, okay? And I make sure to turn off the water when we're done with it. We don't waste water. We have the appliances that are, energy-friendly and resource-friendly to the environment kind of thing. And I got to tell you, we go through about 11 to 12,000 gallons a month of water. So how does that break down? Well, I'm not going to go into the deep numbers of my family's, consumer behavior, but I will tell you this. Based on the bare minimum of water that we're supposed to be using for survival, which is about a gallon a day per person, and, experts or whatever experts you want to support, be at the federal level, the National Science Foundation level, state levels, California Earthquake Alliance, those kinds of things, the councils of earthquake, all that kind of stuff, or, whatever numbers you want to look at. They generally say about 3 days' worth of water you want to have on hand, drinking water. But what I'm going for and what I think that every American or responsible citizen should be concerned about is to have a 3-month supply of water. So that's 90 days.